Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Happiness Retreat. I am your host, Kimberly Travs, and today we have the good fortune to be in conversation with my dear friend and colleague, the beautiful and multi-talented Caroline Oceana Ryan, who channels the divine wisdom and higher energies of a group of beings known as the Collective. Hello, Caroline, and thank you so very much for taking your time to share with us today.
Oh, hello, Kim, and everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me on. It's a real joy for me.
Thank you. We cannot wait to hear all about your story and your connection that you have with divine beings that we don't quite know yet. So I'm very excited for everyone to learn all of this. So as these conversations are all about spirituality, the soul, and becoming the master of your own energy, I'm so happy you're here today to tell us how working with the collective is a vehicle for transformation and ascension. So, Caroline, could you please tell us a little bit about your diverse background and the experiences that you've had that have prompted you to embrace and develop this deeply beautiful relationship that you have cultivated with the collective?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of my earliest memories are realizing that there were angels in the room and kind of talking to them and talking to someone who I could kind of see. She seemed to be sort of a woman who was about age 30, 28 or 30, which to a small child is very old, of course, and very wise. And I realized over time that was my higher self. And I would just sort of have these conversations and when we lived in Maine, I would go out behind the house and, there were woods behind the house. I'd be looking for fairy folk. And I always just had this strong sense that we weren't alone, that there were etheric beings, beautiful etheric beings all around us, supporting us and helping us. And because I had, I'm very open about the fact I had a very rough childhood and rough teenage time when I was quite ill, severe, very severe case of Wilson's, which is a heavy metals imbalance. And, you know, there were a lot of unhappy, difficult moments. And I came to, because I was raised so strictly in the Christian church, my idea of spirituality for a long time in terms of what I learned was to talk to Jesus, which I call him Yeshua, since I was in seminary years ago. I call him by his Hebrew name. And that friendship has continued, and I still do talk to him. But the thing about learning that there are other ascended masters, other beautiful spiritual beings who have also ascended while in the body, that just shook me to the core. And I thought, what do you mean this is something that people can do? It just seemed astounding. So over the years, when I had a question to ask, I would ask. I didn't think in terms of my guides or higher self. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I would write out a question and then I would very automatically let the answer come through. And over time, starting in March 2014, I thought maybe I can channel for people, put out, and within a day, this group came through. I thought they were all galactics. They seemed that way. They're only partly that. And they said, well, we have messages for Lightworkers. Would you like to bring them through for us, please, and share them? And I said, yes, okay. So that's when that weekly channeling message to Lightworkers came about 6 years ago, and still going. And then over time, the books, they would introduce different ideas. I was fine with that. Then they wanted me to do guided meditations, which I taken me years to get used to my voice. So I hated doing that, but I did the MP3s, the guided meditations, and then they wanted me to do video. So I've got a YouTube channel. And I'm just like, oh, that's enough, But the point is that as these beautiful beings, ascended masters, angels, archangels, fairy elders, yes, the fae are real. Beautiful beings, ocean beings like the whale and whale and dolphin, sea angels and earth elements, etc. They join together into this beautiful group to assist us, to help us ascend, because yes, we have the potential to ascend in this process to heal all the layers that need to be healed. but it's difficult to go around life not even knowing how much trauma we carry from this and other lives. A lot of it is just there, but you and I still live with the density, the awfulness, the heaviness of that. Um, you know, it's just, it's a tall order. It really is. So they're here to help. That's all. They just, when they do me or anybody, they're here to help and just to lend wisdom. 97% of what they do, whether it's a channeling session or written channeling or recorded, the abundance group, whatever it is, 97% of that is energy work. So they're working with our individual energies right where we are to assist us and pull us up to a higher level of empowerment, as well as healing, dissolving the old density. It's a lot that goes on multi-levels. Yeah, but I'm overjoyed to finally not only, you know, to be a writer full time, but to help people, because I wondered for a long time, am I supposed to be a social worker? Am I supposed to be a teacher? And I didn't see myself fully fitting into those, you know. So this is quite a blessing, and it's an honor. It really is to work with them.
So this collective group then is not just one, I want to say species. I don't even know how else to say it. So their beings, are they all etheric, or are some here?
Some are in the body, yeah. Some are
okay.
yeah. They're just walking amongst us. There are angels, there are even archangels, from what I understand at the minute, because of what Earth is going through right now and what we're all dealing with in this huge changeover we're experiencing. So much going on the planet at once, everybody knows that. And they are, some of them walking amongst us, some are ETs, some are angels, some of them are ascended masters, and they're definitely here. I would say probably most are higher dimensional beings or totally in the etheric, they're just energy. You wouldn't see them even if you were in that dimension, fifth, sixth, and higher. You wouldn't necessarily physically see them, but except for pure light. But you would sense their presence. You would know them. Yeah, yeah. It's
interesting. That's interesting. So since they are in all of the different planes of existence, and this may be a really bizarre question, but can they help us with a mental, emotional, the physical, and etheric problem that we are having? Is that part of their offering?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I don't claim, and they don't make claim to have the road in to cure anybody of any, you know, imbalance, illness, what have you, disorder. That would just be ridiculous, because for me to claim that they do that every time, because everyone's path is different, and you may, or I may need to go to a particular energy healer or go through a particular process. It doesn't have to be a painful one, but it's part of our path. And we need to go through that before fully healing, whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, whatever it is that whatever challenge we're dealing with. So what they do is work with you energetically to shift things so that you are open to that path, so you're led to the right person. And also they're telling me right now to dissolve the density that's holding you in that pattern and to reroute that pattern. And sometimes they use actual practical practices like affirmations or decrees, or the story writing exercise they take people through, and the abundance call sometimes, and which is fascinating. And it's just, yeah, it's a variety of things. Sometimes it's pure energy, and sometimes it's a realization they ask you to consciously go through. Now, most of it's purely energetic work, absolutely. But what they offer people is pretty cool. Like in sessions, they always bring in each person's spirit team of angels, guides, and higher self. And before they answer the person's question, they'll say, all right, we're going to defer to your team, because the whole point is not for anybody to see the collective as their new authority figure, or their new religion or whatever, but to say you're empowered in and of yourself, you're becoming your higher self. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell you what your spirit guides and higher self are saying on that issue. And it builds a stronger bridge, a stronger link of communication between each person and their spirit team. Because you and I can go to our spirit team any hour of the day or night and say to them, what am I supposed to know about this issue? Or just, what am I supposed to know in general? Or look, I'm having a lot of trouble with this person or this job or this illness or whatever it is. And say, I'm requiring, not only requesting, I'm requiring your wisdom on this. And I've said, I couldn't even count the number of times I've said that to my team or the universe in general, and kind of threaten them with, if you don't fix this, I'm going to do this. So I want answers now, you know? And yeah, they will give it to you. They don't mind. You know, and the collective has said getting vehement like that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because what it does, all it means is that your or my focus is laser sharp. It's so, our intention is so clear. It's a straight line requiring the right path to come up, requiring the answers to come up. And that's not a bad thing. The universe will sometimes wait for us to get that clear before it hands us the answer we're looking for. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So it's almost as I'm recalling a verse that I heard somewhere. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find. I mean, what you're saying, it's as simple as that.
Yeah. But you got to keep knocking, like in the parable where, you know, the unjust judge, I guess it is, where the man goes around and he's knocking on the judge's door in the middle of the night, and the judge sticks his head out the window and says, it's 2 a.m. or something to that effect. You know, what are you doing? Go away. My family and I are sleeping. And the man keeps knocking, and the judge comes back several times. Finally, he goes downstairs and opens the door because he sees the persistence of this man in refusing to accept an unjust ruling from the judge. I mean, it's so cool. And I have found that for myself. Likewise, let's say you're asking for healing or you're asking for a sum of money. You don't ask just once. You keep asking throughout the day. And say, for instance, for bringing in more abundance, something we talk about in the abundance group is, you know, you go to money, and like Sarah McCrum says in the money book, Love Money, Money Loves You, which is such a great book. So she's channeling the spirit of money. And money is saying, look, don't just ask for something once throughout the entire day. Money, please deliver $300 to me today, please. Thank you, you know, and you keep thinking it, and you stay positive, and you don't ask how. This is something interesting, Kim, that we do as humans. We ask, how's that going to happen? Because I don't see how that's going to happen. And we go into how, we go into that brain, and that's like putting up a big block. So we just got to say, however, it's for my higher good. I accept that. I'm just asking, please deliver this to me, whether it's a healing, maybe a new partner, who knows, a new job, whatever it is. And you just keep asking and just keep giving thanks and get clear on, you know, what are the characteristics? How many hours a week do you want to work, and how much money do you want to earn, and what gifts and abilities do you want to use? And let the universe know. I would love, well, say you don't know what gifts, just say I would love to help people who don't feel very confident about how they look or their reading skills, or you know, how they feel about themselves in a crowd of people. They're overcome with shyness, or, you know, the general idea, and then let the specifics come to you, and the universe will bring you that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Clarity.
Yeah.
So along those lines of clarity, do I know why I have come to private sessions with you, so I'm asking, is clarity one of the things that the collective help us with? And I think also, I think we need to be clear. We have to have a clear channel and communication with ourselves, and a clear channel and communication with our team, right? And we think that there's a veil, and we think the veil is up there past Earth's atmosphere, and, you know, how are we going to break the glass ceiling? But where is the veil, and how do the collective help us to be more clear in the communication with our true desire, our soul, and in communication with them and our own team?
Well, that's a beautiful question. And that's one of the more relevant questions you could ask, anybody could ask, because everybody conceives of this veil, and the veil is our old density. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. What we've had bred into us over the centuries is you're not good enough for God, you don't deserve God, quote unquote, which is this loaded word I don't even use unless I say God, goddess. But the idea is the creator is out there somewhere, the universe is out there somewhere, but you don't deserve to have what you want because you're so lowly and wretched and awful. And such a sinner. And oh, it's just a wonder anybody bothers with you.
Born that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Born into sin. Yeah. And the wages of sin is death. Great. I'm born into death. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And so we carry this density. And even somebody who's saying right now, oh, but my family never dragged me to church or temple or synagogue or whatever. Listen, friend, you've lived hundreds of earth lives. The chances are huge. You've lived hundreds of earth lives, and you've got this sewn into your subconscious, the soul imprints of it. You're connected to that matrix. And what the collective want to do is just lift us up out of that and say, how about if we leave all that for the moment? And Archangel Michael can work on cutting through these etheric ties between you and any agreement you had with some group at some point that you would follow their religion throughout eternity. These agreements stay in place, so they've got to be erased from one life to the next. They just carry on. Archangel Michael able to clear you of even old marriage vows, old agreements of any kind, soul contracts you came in with in this life that really don't fit, don't suit you anymore, and are not for your higher good. And you know, through energy clearings, through healings, and through energy work, you are able to separate yourself from all these old matrices or matrices. And you are able to come clean and realize, I am a child of the universe. I am divinity itself in the human form. I'm, as they say, divinity expressing as a human. I am love demonstrated. I am the love, you know, the being of love itself. I am consciousness itself. There can't be any separation between me and what people call miracles. There can't be any separation between me and divine love. That would be impossible. So we're kind of moving from minus 100 up to 0 and then going on from there. And it's a huge part of our ascension. And this feeling of not deserving, you know, that's a lot of what that veil is, that glass ceiling you're referring to. The feeling of separateness from all things that are good and pure and high and holy and fine. And no, you're not separate from that. And it's really funny because the child within us knows that, but
the adult doesn't, because we've been taught otherwise.
Yeah, exactly right. The child gets shoved aside and stuck into these narrow little categories, and you know, about which are all about how limited and how weak and how passive and pathetic we are as humans. And that's kind of interesting that we're taught both passivity and that we have evil intent. Now, which is it? You know, either I'm weak or I'm really evil and doing bad things. And the church or somebody, some religion out there might say, oh, well, you managed to do both. And, you know, this is hilarious because every human-made structure, including religion, has wreaked havoc on the human race. Utter havoc. They've wiped out not just whole tribes and clans, but almost all whole races at times. So, yeah, they've got nothing to boast about. And you and I need to stand on our own. It's time we stood on our own and stop hiding behind human-made structures. Yeah, that's all. It's all about sovereignty and empowerment with the collective. That's their whole deal.
Wow. Okay, so the veil is really in our own mind, in our own belief system.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And soul patterning from past lives. It's not like we took it on willingly. We come in with it. It comes in, you know? Just like if you've got entity attachments from past lives, and there's a wonderful shaman, Bonnie Saratori, who talks about this. If you've got entity attachments from past lives, they're going to come in. Every earth life, you come back into the body, those entities come back in. So you've got to get them cleared. And you've got to clear all the trauma. You know, a lot of people now, Kim, I know you suffered this in past lives, that you know, you were a healer or a seer, a prophet of some sort, and you either got chased out of the village, villagers with flaming torches, or worse, imprisoned or executed or what have you. And many, many people, I've met many people with this background, and they're kind of terrified to pick up energy work again. So all that can be cleansed. You don't have to carry that with you. You don't have to feel it's your burden to bear, quote unquote, your cross to bear. How ridiculous. You know, no, put it down. We get out of the victim paradigm. The same time we do that, we get out of the savior paradigm. We're not waiting to be saved. We're not here to rescue other people. They can be strong in and of themselves. And we're not here to be trampled, you know, and to learn about how passive and weak we are. So yeah, all that's shifting now, all of it.
Well, that's another layer of the veil. The first layer of the veil, or one layer of the veil, is you can't connect to the divine because you're not divine. then
Yeah.
there's another layer of the veil that says, well, you're responsible for everybody else first. So you have to put yourself last. So you have to
Oh yeah.
sacrifice yourself, right?
Excellent. Yes.
And we're all children, right? So we all have the parent layer.
Yeah.
And then those of us that have nieces, nephews, children, whatever, we have that layer. So we're like the cream filling of the Oreo cookie. We have
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
yes, it is.
It's crazy. And what happens is our inner well of resources runs dry in that system. We're
Right.
always giving. We're not deserving, but we have to be good. So we're always giving. Like you say, we're right in between those two bizarre extremes. And boy, that will wear you out, friend.
It sure will. So we can be both in service to both cookie parts of that Oreo and
Yeah.
still cultivate ourselves, have sovereignty, build sovereignty within ourselves, clear ourselves and clear our connection to the divine. And then what does the collective say that will eventually end up doing really for everyone involved? If we get ourselves into that, where do we have to get ourselves? And what does that do for the rest of humanity once we get there?
Well, the more we move up in consciousness and energy healings and meditation and time in nature, being kind to ourselves as well as others, all that can assist really beautifully. Listening to high vibrational music. Some people do various forms of ceremony, as the indigenous people all over the world did for thousands of years, whether it's drumming or being out in nature and giving thanks or just working with a plot of garden, whatever it is. The more spiritual practice you engage in that supports you, in addition to the healing and clearing, that's going to lift you. But also you just need this ongoing connection with your higher self and asking to become your higher self, asking him or her, look, step into my energies. I want to be you today. And increasingly what it does is that, and this is what the collective and anybody who's got any kind of conscience is going to help you with, and what that does is raises your frequency, your vibration. So you start to develop your light body, which is already there, but we're coming into it more fully, and the actual cells of the body with this beautiful light pouring in from our sun now, which reflects the light of the great central sun. That light pouring in is assisting us in moving into crystalline cellular structure, whereas before thousands of years it was a carbon
Right.
structure, which breaks down over time. And I always like to think, well, I'd love to go back to being physically, except not, in a childbearing sense, but going back to getting youth back, otherwise being 28 or 30 again.
Right.
And I think the reason I've always seen my higher self is looking like she's that age is because in the fifth dimension, people don't age beyond that. Don't much beyond 25 to 30. They could be millions of years old. And maybe their hair might be white after a while, but the face, the body is still quite young and healthy. There isn't the degradation we've experienced in the third dimension. So what happens is you are developing your light body, you become a fifth dimensional being, you no longer belong to time. You've stepped out of that, you've moved up beyond it. You realize there's still some existence of time, but not like we experience it now. And you're fully this co-creational, aware, conscious being. And there's always more to move forward. There's always room. There's always a higher path, to take us further into deeper understanding of the universe, higher levels of love, deeper self-understanding, but also deeper interconnection with all other forms of life and consciousness. And hopefully for myself, I would hope for more patience and the kind of compassion where I'm not like leaning out of myself, putting my energy into somebody else to try to save them from the pain they're going through, but just sort of observing divine neutrality. I look forward. That's what I work for every day. But absolutely, look, you can start right now, not only eating and drinking pure foods if you can. That doesn't mean be ultra scolding with yourself and restrictive. That's not what that means. That means just really full of love and respect for yourself, pure water and more organic fruits and vegetables, because we're not going to have to eat the way we used to. And it means time out in nature and every day talking to your team and see if you can meditate at least a few times a week, and just, you know, if not every day. And anytime you meditate, you're going to benefit, you're going to move forward. And there are beautiful guided meditations online. I mean, I have some on my website, but and YouTube, but they're all over the web. Absolutely wonderful stuff. So it doesn't mean you have to sit and just silence your thoughts if that's impossible. You know, it's something that's another thing I'm working toward, learning to keep it, you know, the quiet thought, but the quiet mind. And to be fully present in the body. That's hard if you experience trauma as a child. That takes healing. It does. So I just ask people, don't scold yourself. See yourself as being on a path. And don't despair, even in challenging times. The reason everything's so wacky on the earth right now is because the old structures have to go so that we build these beautiful new earth ones. That's all, you know? It's a positive. It doesn't feel that way some days, but it's, you know, like when you first start working out, if you've been out of it for a while.
It's painful.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes.
Sort of like that. Oh. Yeah.
Well, I want to circle back a little bit to, you mentioned that, you know, if a person needs help with a thought form, or they, you know, I know that the mind and the body have a very close connection. So perhaps even their body issues are somehow a thought form originally, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So a session with the collective, would a private, why do most people come to you for private sessions, and what does that structure look like? How long is it? And, you know, what's the format? And, what can they, hopefully expect to come out of that session with?
Well, the format is that you can book either a 20 or 30 or 45-minute or 1-hour session via my website, carolineoceanaryan.com. Easy peasy. If you don't know how to spell it, just put it into Google and you'll see it. The Oceana part is what makes it easy to find. Yeah, you would just book through my website. There's an explanation on my website on the channeling sessions page about how they work. But basically, once I meet up with the person via conference call line or Skype if they're out of the country, you know, we say hello and how are you? And then I ask a few archangels to come in and start working with the person to clear their energies of interferences, and also just to lift their energies to a higher level. And then it just takes me a moment. I just kind of get quiet and I bring in the collective, and the person starts asking questions. And I always ask them to have your questions written out ahead of time, so you'll know what you're going to say. And they generally talk about problems with a relationship, particularly their spouse or partner, financial issues, confusion about their life work. Very, very often they'll say, I have never known what my life purpose is. Can you help me with that? And that's fascinating. In each case, as I was saying earlier, the collective will bring in the person's spirit team, their angelic guardians, their spirit guides, and higher self. They confer with them, they listen, they say, we're just going to listen for a moment. And then they listen, and then they relay what the team was saying. And I mean, 99.9% of the time, the person's life purpose is really energetic. They're working in ways that they're not aware of. In their sleep state, they're really actively in that role. They're up on the ships, or they're in the earth, or they're working with plants or animals or children or the elderly. They're working with some population, helping them shift to a higher level, helping them heal. They're bringing in new technologies, working with symbols very often. I find artists, very often they're putting healing symbols into their work, or jewelry makers. It's just an endless array of absolutely beautiful missions that people are on, earth missions basically. But they're not aware of it, because what they're doing is they're anchoring the energies of that, and they're working with that etherically. And it's not their 9-to-5 job. And so they get concerned, well, am I doing this? And that's a big purpose that these sessions will serve, is saying, yeah, you're doing a lot. You're doing a tremendous amount. And then they'll start, oh, I've had dreams about that, or oh, I know I did such and such in a past life, and it'll all start tumbling forward. And even if they don't remember a lot, it will resonate. It's like a bell ringing deep inside them. And they'll say, yeah, I do talk to crystals. That's interesting. And I do feel like they have messages for us, but I never really thought about it that way before, or something like that, you know? So all it does is maybe bring in their higher self into the room and introduce to them their real aspect, which I think is really empowering. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've had sessions there. They are amazing. They are amazing.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Thank you. And I just want to say another thing is if you want to talk to a loved one who's passed or someone you're having a problem with, they'll just bring that person in, you know, they'll bring in their essence, their spirit into the room, and they'll chat with them and say, you know, all right, what's going on? Generally, the parent or friend, whomever it is who has passed, is totally fine. They're very happy on the other side, and they're just saying, oh, I'm fine. Just be, I want you to be joyful. You know, some messages to that effect, which is really sweet. Other times it's a little more complex because the person had a problem with the parent and they want to know, is this still a problem between us? And so the collective are able to work with that, you know. So,
Well, that's a huge burden to release if you can, right? Because you can't call them on the phone.
exactly. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
I've had practitioners do that for me as well
Mm-hmm.
as my team and the collective
Mm-hmm.
helping me out. Yeah, it's a big issue.
That's awesome. So we have private sessions. And then please tell us about your weekly message to Lightworkers.
Uh-huh.
It comes via email. You can find it online. Um, it's so inspirational. Please tell us what they are all about.
Sure. Well, these are the messages that the collective asked me to bring through to begin with, starting 6 years ago. And that's what started the ball rolling. So you will find them on my website.
Mm-hmm.
The latest ones, you'll see them on the right there. The latest ones, you just click onto the latest date if you want a very up-to-date one.
Mm-hmm.
And they will talk about generally what's going on in the world. If there are trigger words, they will avoid those trigger words, you know, words that have been set out for us to be tripped up by. And they will simply say the world situation or something like that. And they help us, in a sense, back up from what's going on, whether it's affecting us individually or affecting everyone or both, and look at things in the context of the Nasara law being on its way to being enacted, in the context of the higher energies pouring into the planet. And they'll help us, they'll remind us, well, you're getting a lot of help from galactic family members on this, or your higher selves are wanting to say this, that sort of thing. So they just really address what's going on in the moment. So I think it's pretty relevant. It does get, you know, published in different websites. I always put it on my Facebook page, and that's just under my name. So if you want to find me on Facebook or the Abundance Group, you can find them on Facebook as well.
I look forward to them. I really do. I really do.
Oh, I was going to say, if you sign up on my website, you'll get them in your inbox every Friday.
They're amazing. And then you have 5 books that you've channeled from the collective that deal with what subjects? There's an abundance one, there's a relationship one. Does each one have, how I want to word this? You know, if you just read a book just written by anyone, and it's a little, you know, little kid story or whatever, the energy is not coming through there. Is the energy, because it's been channeled from the collective, is there still a healing property to these books?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, what that would mean, healing would be, it would be energetic and it would be individual for the person, for their path. But all of their writings contain higher energies. Beautiful wisdom, a lot of love and reassurance and encouragement and empowerment. And the words are nice, but like all of their work, nearly all of it is energetic. Yes.
Got it. So that's another beautiful tool for ascension and transformation.
Oh, hopefully, yeah, that's the idea.
And then you have a BBS program, Night at the Round Table?
Yes, I do. I'm a co-host, actually, on that. I have really amazing co-hosts, energy healers, phenomenal psychic, and soul historian, my friend Omina McGee, 2 Faction 3 White Knights who serve under the Ashtar Command. I mean, it's pretty cool. We all do an update. The first hour, we just share with what our insights or channelings are at the moment. And then we have a guest we interview. One of us will interview the guest in the second hour. And last night's show, if you go to BBS Radio and find the page for A Night at the Round Table, in a few days, the replay will be up. But last night's show, we had Michael Tydell on it. He had 2 near-death experiences. And while he was in the higher realms, they said, do you want to remember everything? Because he remembered suddenly, he realized while he was on the other side that all the information in the universe was available to him. And they said, do you want to remember this? And he says, like a fool. I said, yes. So he's still in touch with them. So we were asking him questions, and he would check in with his guides on the other side and then give the answer. It was pretty cool. So that's the kind of thing we'll do. Sometimes they're scientists, sometimes they're psychics, sometimes they're people with extraordinary circumstances in their lives. And yeah, it's just an unusual show. I like it.
Fabulous. And then please tell us about the Abundance Group. I believe it meets twice a month.
It does, every second and fourth Wednesday. Okay. All you have to do, if you want to receive reminder emails, go to my email, and this is on my website as well, but it's Ascension Times, plural times, @gmail.com. And just say yes to abundance or abundance group, please, or whatever, and I'll add your email to our reminder list. So you'll get a reminder before each call, and they're free, they're open to everyone. If you become either a basic or full member, you get the MP3 replay, and a week or so later, you get the PDF transcript, which some people prefer written to listen to replay.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff as well. If you go on my website to Abundance Group, you'll see.
Okay, so they're live calls, and it's all based upon geared in a group setting opposed to a private setting, and to work on expanding your abundance vibration, your manifestation abilities, and to collectively help visualize the new earth.
Absolutely. We do Nasara visualizations. We do visualizations to let go of all of the density that we're holding on any level. Because let's say you feel very wounded in the relationship area. That can translate easily to affecting your health, your physical health, or your finances. I mean, like that. It's astounding how a wounding in one area will affect us in other areas. So the collective will take us through meditations whereby they're transmitting these beautiful energies as I'm channeling them. And they're about dissolving these huge heavy sacks or gray clouds that we carry with us everywhere in life and not even realizing it because we're used to it. And you know how some people are kind of round-shouldered. I think sometimes that's because they're carrying heavy burdens from family or other people or ancestors or whatever, some interference that's in their body. And others will get headaches, and maybe they're blocking some of their third eye psychic ability. And it's all related, all of it. So we just work with the whole person. And if you want to send in an individual question, you would likewise send that into ascensiontimes@gmail.com, and then they read the question and they answer it, for individual situations. So, and they said do energy work for that as well. So it's a nice sort of gift. At the minute, I'm sending out reminder emails to my whole list, not just people on the abundance group list, because a lot of people are challenged right now. So
absolutely, absolutely. One last thing I'd like to talk about quickly, or not quickly, as much detail as you want to give us. Your latest book, channeled by one of my favorite people in the world, John Lennon. I mean, come on. Yeah. How did you get so lucky to have the opportunity to connect with John Lennon? And, how happy is he that your book is a collaboration?
Well, I'm very blessed. He's been a guide to me my whole life. He's been a mentor and a guide. I was very upset, very sad, grieving when he died when I was a teenager. And I'm old enough. I remember when the Beatles came to America. I was just a tiny tot, but I was aware of it for some reason. And he was just, and he's been an amazing influence as an artist and as a peace activist. I'm one as well, a peace activist, and as a poet, musician. I grew up playing music and still love music with all my soul. So he's just always been there. And one day, about a year or so ago, my friend Shirley Ballstock, who is an amazing psychic and energy worker, she channels John and also George Harrison and David Bowie and John Denver. I mean, like all these people and historical figures like Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. But she said to me, after I'd done a channeling at this star gathering that we were both at in Minnesota, she said, John says he wants to work with you. And I was like, really?
Yay!
I was astounded. And so then I thought, I don't know. And I waited a few months and then I started last summer, I guess, and finished at the end of the year. And then I was going to try to get a traditional publisher, but now I think I'll just put it out on my own this year. A friend who just got published by a huge publishing company said, I'll just put it out. Usually it takes so long to go through a traditional publisher, etc. And he had a number of reasons, but I just, in that book, he talks about how women's lives have been trampled and how we still have some unevenness there. Because, for instance, let's say white middle class and upper class women do all right now. They have big jobs or whatever, but there's still a lot, blue collar women badly underpaid. Native, Black, Latino women, Latinas still persecuted to a degree, still put down and still devalued and on and on. And he talks about how the planet has been sort of taken over by people who have treated us as slaves for thousands of years. And this is why we have this system, this money system we do, which is debt slavery, and how that's breaking up now. We're coming out of that. And a lot of issues. I asked him about the music business and things that went on when he was younger. And so basically what you could do is with that book is just go to the chapter that intrigues you.
The whole thing intrigues me, but I love that.
Yeah, he's so cool. He's so great. I asked him, I said, look, he saw these ETs, or a ship, one summer evening in New York City. He stepped down on his balcony and there was a huge ship out there, metallic round ship. And he took photos, but of course none of the photos came out. I think that was to protect him. But I asked him about that and about, the whole ET presence. And it's just, he's just an astounding person, and he's still with us. He's still doing so much and working with younger musicians. And he was going to be bringing through the music of the spheres, which is incredibly high frequency, high vibration. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that he was taken out when he was. Because that was not just one crazy guy acting alone, as we know. So,
right.
Yeah, but he's still very active and wonderful. Yeah.
Wow. And if you think about it, he's been gone, what, 35, 40 years-ish?
40 years. 40 years.
Okay. They don't want us to have the music of the spheres now.
Exactly.
40 years ago, yeah. Right?
Well, he was always out of his time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And as a group there at the time, and as an individual artist, he was ahead. And he would envision so much. And the song Imagine, when he recorded it, he didn't think it was that great. It's become the anthem for so many.
Absolutely.
And particularly in difficult times on this earth, people will just put that song out and it never gets old. And you see it all over social media. And the word imagine took on a particularly brighter glow, I think. It's always been my favorite word, imagine or imagination. What he's given us is still there, and he's still giving to us. So,
yeah, their gifts are amazing, for sure. That the whole group of the Beatles I'm talking about.
Oh, George is astoundingly spiritual man. When I listen to his music now, I'm just like, oh my gosh, he was ahead of his time as well, just in a quieter sense.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, love, love, love. All you need is love. I mean, just a simple, back then I thought that meant all you needed was, a family and children and, whatever. And it's just so deep, much more deep than that. Yeah. Caroline, I could sit here and talk to you all day. You're fascinating. What you're bringing through is fascinating, and it's enlightening, and it's empowering, and it's transformational. And, I honor and just am so what's the word? Grateful that
Oh,
you have taken on this, and you're joyfully taking on helping others by channeling the collective in every medium that you just discussed. And at the end of this video, everyone will see all of your contact information and how to find your information. So
oh,
thank you
wonderful.
for joining us today. Just
Oh,
thank
it's
you.
my pleasure. You know, Kim, you're such a brilliant light in the universe. It's been such a joy to know you these past 5+ years. And I feel really blessed to have found you. And yeah, the Philadelphia goddesses, as we call ourselves, when we're all,
Yes.
we've kind of spread far and wide since, but so great. You know, you're a wonderful teacher. You have so many gifts. So I appreciate this chance to speak on subjects that are important to me. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Much
And
to everyone.
we'll have another chat on this. We'll have another episode of the Happiness Retreat.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And for everyone watching, I want to thank you for joining us for this episode of the Happiness Retreat. I hope you have gotten some inspiration, some motivation, some guidance, and some clarity in your connection with your own soul and in becoming a master of your own energy. Because after all we need is love, and we are love. And if we get clear, the
Yeah.
world becomes a better place, right?
Yeah. Amen to that. Absolutely right. Absolutely.
So thank you, my dear friend. Love you, honor you, and cannot wait to connect with you again soon.
Wonderful. Many
And
blessings.
thank
Much
you.
love.
Until next time.
Okay.